So I am Jen O'Connor. I work at the USC Career Center. In an ideal world, I would be going to this building every day during the week. This is the student union on the one side, and I've been going through those doors for 15 years. Well, minus COVID. Sans COVID, but yeah. So I've been in the office for 15 years, which is really crazy. I started when I was about 12, and have just stayed because I think it's really, really great office. I really enjoy helping people figure out what they want to do with the rest of their lives because I think it's a very intimidating task. And I've been there. I went to school to do fashion merchandising. I thought I wanted to be a buyer or have a big store or whatever. And it just wasn't the right fit for me. So I found what I loved, ironically, and I wound up being careers. So here we go. I'm just going to talk a little bit about what we do and all this kind of stuff. So I'm talking about the basics. I'm going to talk about some of the resources we have. I know everybody here is transfer students, and I think that is a very challenging spot to be in because you feel like everybody knows what they're doing and everybody has all the resources under control, and that you're behind. Usually transfer students tell us they feel instantly behind. And I'm here to tell you, my friends, that I have seniors. I just got done an appointment with somebody who is just all over the place. They hadn't really taken stock of what we do and like what's important to them. They thought they wanted to do one thing and then they changed their mind. So please do not think you are behind or that you're never going to get caught up, or we will get you there. Okay. There's so many places on this campus. My specialty in the work, I'm a career advisor, but on that team, but my specialty is student retention. I have done student retention for more than 20 years, meaning keeping students in school. And the reason why I love career stuff is because when you can find what you really love to do, it helps you stay engaged. And to me, that's so exciting. Who wants to have a doctor in their life who doesn't want to be a doctor? Like, how many of us know people who don't love what they do in their job? Who likes to hang out with those people, right? I do not want you to be that person. I think we're missing out on your potential. I think the world is missing out on your potential if we don't find the stuff that you love and what you're really good at. So my job is to be a partner with you. And my whole team is like, I supervise the counseling team. Our whole job is to help you figure out what it is that you love and what you enjoy and what you're passionate about, and like highlight it out. So that comes through a whole bunch of different resources. So I'm going to talk about all that, and I'm going to give you some dates because I know those are important. I'm not really probably going to talk so much about the dates. I have no problems if you want to do a little print screen type of something for your computer. I learned how to do print screen on my PC. You hit the little Windows logo button and the print screen button, and it takes a snapshot and shoves it right into your pictures file. So if there's ever a slide that you want, I have no problem with you doing whatever you need to do to get that done. But anyway, so what I mentioned about and I'm not going to talk too much about career development process. It's a little boring, but I put it in here because I want everybody to understand that the career development process is a process. It's not this thing you just know exactly what to do, right? So everybody in my office, we do things a little bit differently. I think my way's the best way. I'm just kidding, but yes, kidding. My way that I prefer to work with students is the very last one that says self-assessment, investigation, decision-making, implementation. I don't care what process you do, but let me just walk you through how I help people. I started doing this work working with first-year students, right? And then I came to USC and they said, hey, you've done this for 4 years. Can you work with alumni? I'm like, well, I have worked with alumni before. I prefer first-year students, but whatever, bring it on, bring it. It's the same process, whether you're a first-year student or an alum. Even your parents would be going through some of this kind of stuff, right? We have to start, and this is a cyclical process. You start with what you know about your stuff, like what you love, what you're interested in, what you're passionate about, right? And then we move to, okay, I know all this stuff about me, but now what is it called? Okay, now that I know what all that, is that an analyst job? Is that a career advisor job? Is it a accountant? Is it a food blogger? I don't know, but we help you show the resources that will help you explore what jobs are out there that might fit what you're digging, right? And then we move to helping you decide what to do. And we understand that every family has a little bit of a different dynamic in terms of who gets to make decisions in the family. That happens all the time. That's none of my business, but oh, there's someone here. Should we let them in? you know, so I just think these kinds of things are really important. So we help you decide, and we're not going to be the ones deciding for you, obviously, but we're like, okay, what about this? And so when I work with my alumni, sometimes they're like, you know, I didn't realize my job was going to be like 80 hours a week. I'm like, yeah, okay. And they're like, I am expecting a child soon. I don't think I can work 80 hours a week. I'm like, that resonates with me. I have an 11-year-old. I got it. So now what are we going to do? And so anyway. And then we implement. Implementation is the part where most students run to our office for resumes, cover letters. Oh my God, I need to interview. I need to do this. But what happens is students don't do the earlier stuff first. So I would like to focus on the earlier stuff right now, because as transfer students, you have to kind of catch up on some stuff, knowing other resources available. So I know I have 15 minutes, but I'm a fast talker. I just wanted to give you the method to the madness, because I don't want you thinking that you just have to know this stuff. You don't have to know this stuff, but you have to be willing to engage in the conversation, or be willing to accept what other people are telling you what to do, which I understand in some cultures that is normal. We will just skip those through, but I just want you to know this is what we're doing here. So whatever process you use, I don't really care. This is our beautiful office. When we get to be in the office, this is our beautiful office right here. We're in the student union. Who cares what locations, but just know that once all this cuckoo stuff is done, please come to my office. It's pretty. You can have a cup of coffee. You can charge your phone. We got it. We have a nice, friendly person up front. Sometimes we have chocolates up in the front. We just have a good time. We actually do our drop-in advising at these. I keep pointing at this like you're thinking, like you can tell me. There's like these little desks. Those you can, we do drop-in advising in the lobby, which is super cool. So that, oh, I forgot these popped up. Okay, hold on a second. Blah, blah, blah. Who cares? We're actually on 2 floors. We're on the first floor of the student union, and then in the basement level. And anything on campus with a B means basement. So whenever you see something B, no matter what building, it'll be basement. I used to teach in the basement of the Rasier schools. It was very dark and gloomy, but we got through it. So I showed you the office. That's where we congregate when we're allowed to, but also we do a lot of social media stuff. And I supervise the advisor who does the social media, and it's crazy what we do. So if anybody needs to take a screenshot of that, go for it. They're also on our website, but we put a lot of our events, we put a lot of reminders, we collaborate with a lot of different career centers on campus. We do a lot of really, really good stuff. So there's all of our social media handles and stuff like that. And again, they're on our website too, so I'm not gonna worry about too much. I put this slide up knowing that you will not be able to read what's on it, haha. But I wanted to show you the ridiculousness of all the different career centers on campus. So I work in the career center that serves everybody, okay? Like everybody can come here, any major, any program, alum, whatever. This stuff is on our website in the About section. The website's on the top. In the About Us section, this is all the different colleagues on campus that we have helping with careers. So if you are in Dornsife, you go to our webpage, look under Dornsife, and it'll show you all the different people in Dornsife that help with career stuff. Now, Dornsife has a pre-grad advising office, which is in there somewhere. There's a pre-law advising office. There's all sorts of stuff that Dornsife has. You don't have to be a Dornsife major to go to the pre-law, pre-grad, whatever, pre-med, none of it. You don't have to do any of that, but go to see them. They don't care what your major is. They just want to help you, because grad school is coming into, you know, hopefully transfer student, you know, you've got 2 or 3 years left. I want to get you on track, and they will help you. They're the ones that help with the grad school applications. They're the ones that help with the grad school interviews, all that good juicy stuff. When you're an alum, you can still use those services, which is super great. So I'm going to go through that slide super fast. I know that the request from Dr. Bloom was to talk a little bit about the virtual student services. I want to make sure that you know where they are in the whole 11 minutes I have left. You go through, this is our homepage, careers@usc.edu, right at the top, right? And then where I put that arrow, where it says find out more, that's where we plugged in all of our virtual student services. We rallied in March. I have not been back to the office. I haven't been in the office since probably that Wednesday in March 15th or 16th. I broke my toe. I was on crutches. It was raining. I'm like, I'm not going to the office in the rain with crutches. I don't even know how to walk right now. So none of us have been to campus, but we rallied and got all these resources. So we're like, dang, well, let's just show them off, right? Okay, so just know that that's where you need to go if you want to. I mean, they're all scattered throughout. But our website has tons of resources in here. The arrow is kind of blocking off where a lot of these resources can be found. It says students. I blocked off the most important part where it says students. You can go in there and see all sorts of stuff. My team has put together all sorts of stuff on interviewing, how to find an internship, how to find a job as an international student, how to find some resources related to my ethnicity, like all sorts of stuff, so it's really, really cool. But I'm going to break it down a little bit, but just know there's so much more that I'm going to be showing you today because I have half an hour and we're in rally mode. But that student tab that's hiding under the arrow is awesome, and we update it every summer, so please take advantage. We have a lot. I mean, you'll notice there's a tab on personal finance. There's all sorts of cool stuff. But anyway, so we do, and I know Dr. Bloom specifically wanted me to mention drop-in advising office, drop-in advising appointments. Right now, we are doing drop-in appointments online. So what you do is you go to our website in that section that I just said, learn more about virtual. Go in there, or a little. We have this cool little bot that pops up in the corner and says, "Are you interested in drop-in? Click here, click." And then you drop in. We use a resource called, we don't do them Zoom, we do it through something called Brazen. Brazen's the platform. We do all of our drop-in advising on Brazen, and then we do all our career fairs on Brazen, and we do some workshops on Brazen also. So Zoom didn't kind of meet what we needed, so that's why we use Brazen. And we've been using Brazen. We did a huge career fair in 2016 that was virtual. It was one of the biggest in the country, biggest the country ever had. And so we're like, yeah, got this. So we're on it. We got it during drop-in. There are potential, you can either do chat-based video or audio. I only do chat because I never know if it's going to be noisy where I'm living because there's jackhammering happening on the street. So, but whatever, but that's where it happens. And then also, if you want 30-minute appointments, you can sign up for appointments through Connect SC. And then that will also be through the same, no, that'll be through Zoom. We do appointments through Zoom. Why not? Okay. So there's that. And then different events. I know we talked about trying to connect all of our events for the fall. And honestly, I'm kind of thinking for the spring, don't kill me, but I just don't think that the career centers are essential enough to be coming back to campus and increasing the density on campus. So I think most of the career centers are going to be doing this for the spring also. But we talk about all sorts of stuff. And if we're not talking about it, the school-based career centers are talking about it. So use both. It's not a bad thing to use both career centers that you might have at your disposal. Just use whatever you got, These are the, oh my gosh, I forgot that they did this. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Okay, these are all, we have a bazillion different resources. So part of my job, which I totally love, is finding resources that I think would be awesome for students. So we pay licenses for all of these resources, and there's totally more. I'm going to show you my 3 faves so far. If you need a resume critique at 3 o'clock in the morning, do not call me. Go to this vmoc.com/USC, and you can, and maybe this could be a homework assignment, maybe, I don't know. But go in there, dump your resume in there, and you will get a critique on your resume. You'll get a score. And if your score is over 75, that means pretty much, minus tailoring it, that is an employer-ready resume. I've worked on this thing since 2016 with my BFFs in San Francisco and India. It is awesome. I have to say, I'm not even going to go behind the scenes stuff, but really, for reals, it is awesome. There's also another component called Smart Career Fit. That I'm still working on a little bit, but I love the idea of you getting a resume critique at whatever dang area y'all want, because you don't sleep anymore. You're different parts of the country and things like that. I'm an East Coaster myself. I get it. But check this out when you can. It is just something, and it's all AI based. A lot of data went behind it. I don't even know how much data. I can't even tell you. I just would spend crazy weird hours giving them data and stuff like that. So anyway, so check it out when you say. Now I will say that resumes do need to be tailored. So I know we were kind of talking about how to get you ready and stuff. So love VMOC. I mean, we call it like VMOC Smart Resume. I love Smart Resume, but every resume needs to get tailored. So you take a job description and you match it up with your resume and make sure you're talking about the same stuff. Smart Resume will not do that because it doesn't know like what the job is that you're applying to, but it will get you to the point where you have action verbs, your formatting's right, like it's applicant tracking system ready, like it is crazy sick. So use it when you can. It costs a lot of money, So please use it. We just needed it. We've been doing it since 2016. It's like, oh my God. The next one is called Big Interview. So believe it or not, you can actually, and again, it's AI based, you can go into this big interview piece. You go to Connect SC, right? And they go in the, most people have Connect SC accounts because that's our portal. You go to Connect SC, and then you go in the resources section. Find this resource. I swear to God. You go in here, it will, you set up an interview for yourself. No one will ever see it unless you want them to. Set an interview up. It's, you know, like it'll ask you, tell me about yourself. And then you answer it, it records, and then you look at yourself. And it'll give you feedback on how you did. Did you say a lot of like, a lot of filler words? It knows, because we're at that stage now where artificial intelligence knows this stuff. So seriously, another homework assignment, perhaps, maybe extra credit, I don't know. But you could go in here and get a critique, and you can actually see how down that picture, there's people's faces. You can actually pick what kind of interview you want. Do you want a nice one, a mean one, an aggressive one? Crazy good, because you know, you don't know what kind of interview you're going to get. Some interviewers are better than others. Phone interviews are a little tricky. If you've ever been through one, they're not that easy sometimes, but this goes through it all. And we just got that this summer. Marshall had it last year too, and the students loved it. We're like, let's just get it for everybody. So, but you have to go to Connect SC to get it. So go to Connect SC resources. And I'm running through it because Annie's going to be here in like 4 minutes. Okay. So there's a really fab resource that I love in the Connect SC resources section called Connecting Majors to Careers, or What Can I Do with a Major. There's 2 names for it because I wanted it to stand out a little bit in different parts of the alphabet. This is an example of what you can find. So say your major is econ, right? You can go to this resource and it'll tell you typically what people traditionally do in econ, what areas can they go into, who are the employers, and how do you get there? Like, if you're feeling that you need to catch up on some stuff, this is the stuff that I'm talking about. Like, this resource will help you get the ideas that you need to figure out how to, you know, what classes take, what internships to think about, things like that, right? So all of this stuff is important. I would say I'd start with this one first and then do the smart resume and the interviewing, because guess what? This stuff comes first. You need to know what you're doing before you can interview for it, right? So there's about 100-ish majors in there. I wouldn't worry so much about what your major is as much as like what you like to do. So if you're a comm major, but you're thinking cinema-ish, entertainment-ish, look in the cinema. I don't care what you do. This is your venture, you know, but I want you to know these things exist because I could not do my job without these resources. And there are so many more. There's stuff called Vault, and just play with that resources section. I swear to God, vault.com is awesome. You want to learn about careers as a consultant? You go in there, it'll tell you what a consultant does. It'll tell you who the big players are. It'll tell you how to get there and how to interview. Oh my God. So that's called Vault. I wasn't going to show you that one, but that one's, I couldn't do my job without it. I don't have all this stuff memorized in my brain. I mean, there's a resource that can help you figure out how to get a job in Sweden if that's what you wanted. And I'm truly not kidding. We have 2-3 resources that could help you. So really not kidding. Okay. So just real quickly, with the 2 minutes I have left, we have all these resources to help you get connected. If you're a first gen student, we have a mentorship program where we bring first gen alumni to mentor first gen students. We have a Dream Dollar Scholarship, which is for first gen students who are looking for internships that might be unpaid. There's deadlines to these things, so you'd want to know, Dream Dollars is if you go into a nonprofit or an unpaid internship and we're like, come on, pay these people, and the employer can't. We give you the money. We raise money that way, and then we do that. First gen scholarship, same deadline. First gen is just for first gen college students who might need extra money for their internship. Blah, blah, blah. Career fairs, again, online for right now. We have job listings. Anytime we have employers who want to work with us for jobs, we use on-campus recruiting. We do Trojan Talks, where we actually bring employers, well, it's Zoom, but they come in and they talk about their jobs and how to get started, and like, oh, I've always heard about craft food. Well, what kind of jobs can you get at craft food? Okay, well, let me tell you, so they come and they talk. Here are some of our big dates. We do on-campus recruiting. Believe it or not, it starts pretty much like the second week of school. And then it stops around Thanksgiving because we're all going away, right? We're not coming back to campus probably for finals, right? And then, well, we don't do during finals. And then January, blah, blah, blah. So you can see the dates. I mean, it's not a big deal, but just know, like, this stuff starts early and it goes and goes and goes. And any of this stuff you should be trying to go to, because even if you're not ready to find a job, I would like you to get used to being at a career fair because they're different. And I'd rather you start making mistakes, the ones that don't count, and then really be good at it by the time you really do need a career fair. So go, you're gonna feel a little nervous in the beginning, but who cares? Just try it and we'll help you. We have workshops on it and everything, but do the career fairs even if you don't want. You're like, oh my God, just do it, because I want to make sure that you know how to do it, because eventually you will really need it and you're gonna wish you had practiced. Okay, so with that, Andy's coming soon. We've got other, some more events. We do, again, most of our events are on Brazen, not Zoom. Oh my God, look at that. I'm only a couple minutes late probably. Oh, I'm on fire. Okay, so that's what I've got. I know that the orange box is lit, so there's probably some questions, but Dr. Bloom, I work this for you because I'm a fast talker. I'm an East Coaster. This is what we do. But I know that Andy's there, so if he's in, you can click me out. If he's not, I can answer questions. You just tell me what you want because I am here.
Hey, so Andy is here. Thank you so much, Jen. That was awesome. That was super fabulous.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Yeah, no, my pleasure. I love all this stuff. And I really, you're going to be great. You got in. You need to think about that. You are worth being here. You got in. This place is like Fort Knox to get in. So please do not think that you are not the same as these other students. You do have some catch up to do, but we will get you there. I swear we will get you there. You just have to plug in. So I'm super stoked that you're here. I love that the class count is now up to 30, because at first it was 20. I'm like, hey, where are the rest of the people? Because if they miss out, they're not going to know. So tell your friends who are not in your class about this stuff, because it is really important. But with that, I'm going to say hello to Andy. Hi, bye. See you later. Adieu.
Thank you so much.
Of course. My pleasure.
Thank you, Jen.
Yep, see ya. Bye-bye.
Thank you. So we also want to now welcome Andy. He is from Academic Honors and Fellowships. He is awesome. I'm going to put myself on mute, and Andy, I think you can share the screen. Thank you for joining us. This is wonderful.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Lovely to be here with all of you. Let me just get my screen share going. It says that I can't do it yet.
I'll make you co-host.
Okay, great. All right. Sorry, bear with me for a second here. Great, okay, I see it going. All right, can you all see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great, wonderful. All right, so let me start the slideshow. Awesome. Okay, well, thank you all so much for having me. I know it's the end of the day. I am like the kind of like the last thing between you and maybe the end of the day. So I'll try to make this brief and, make sure I can leave some room if you all have any questions. Thank you, Dr. Black, for inviting me. Tamara Black has worked with our office very closely for the past couple years. So this is a very natural partnership. And I also know that for some of you who are first year transfers, hopefully you are at the transformation event that also happened earlier this semester, because I had also presented at that presentation as well. So, now that we're like halfway through the semester, I want this to be a space where hopefully now that you're feeling a slightly more settled, about who knows what this semester really is, honestly, but maybe this is a good time to revisit some of the resources that we offer here through academic honors and fellowships to see how we can get you plugged in and to start to explore some of these potential opportunities that might be a fit for you. I know you just had a whole conversation about the Career Center, looking at jobs, which is definitely very critical to your time here at college. But I think one of the things that I think is lesser known are these opportunities that might be available through fellowships. So this is a place where I can give you some suggestions and opportunities for you to consider, right? And we're also really excited to talk to transfer students because we see more and more transfer students coming through our office every year. For example, this year we actually just wrapped up our Fulbright applications, which is our biggest process every year. And we had about 65 students apply. And I would say it was about like 10% transfer students, which is actually higher than the norm. Normally we maybe see 1 or 2. So to see a slight increase is always great for us. And we definitely want to make sure that you're aware of these opportunities because often these take a lot of planning and a lot of time. So the more you can kind of see these down the road for yourself, the more you have that opportunity to prepare for it. So let's get started. So briefly about what we do in academic honors and fellowships. We educate the USC community about university awards and nationally competitive fellowships. I'll explain the difference between those two in a second. Second, we mentor motivated students and recent alumni in the pursuit of these opportunities. So when we think about mentoring, right, it's not just us talking to you as fellowship advisors. It is also us creating opportunities for you to really get to speak with awesome faculty members such as Dr. Black and a bunch of other folks who are great faculty partners with our office, because a lot of times your first step into this world of fellowship opportunities is with a trusted faculty advisor. They're the ones that are connecting you to potential research opportunities. And a lot of these fellowships also are so field specific that we as generalists cannot answer those questions. So having a faculty mentor to really walk you through that and really get you into the door and build up the portfolio is so key. So we really want to play a role in helping to facilitate those relationships. And then lastly, it's to advise for a couple of merit scholarship communities that we work with. But really to us, I think anyone that comes through our office and is in pursuit of scholarship, we consider it as a scholar. So the first part of what we do, is really getting students to be aware of the amount of research opportunities that could be available to them here at USC. So but first to take a step back, what is research, right? What does that look like? And so we always say that research doesn't just take one form, right? So if you're like me, when I think about research, or initially when I thought about research, when I was an undergrad, it was that top left image, right? Where you're in a lab, you're tinkering with a lot of like equipment. And for some of you, that very well might be research, right? That might be what it looks like. You're getting familiar with wet labs and like processes, all the things, especially in your STEM field, you're gonna have to do that. But that's not just what research looks like, right? You could be doing VR research. You could be out there doing things in microbiology, or you could be doing research in a social science context where you are digging into archives, or you are looking at literature, or you're working with labs to really do coding, So it really takes a lot of forms, and we want to plant that idea in your head because it's really important to think about research as a potential viable pathway for you, as a way to not just supplement your academic experience here at USC, but it also has a lot of great professional development opportunities as well, right? I mean, think about all the transferable skills that you gain from being able to be part of a research lab, whether that is, learning a new program or just being a deeper, more critical thinker. I think a lot of times, professional entities are also looking for folks with that kind of experience. It definitely gives you a lot of flexibility when you can say that you have some research experience under your belt. So at USC, as you know, we are one of the top research institutions, and I know this year is obviously very different, right? I know a lot of labs are not readily accessible or available to students, especially as we are all remote. So we are very much aware of that. But what we're hoping to do is to at least put you in touch with faculty members who can really share with you ways to engage in research that may not require you to physically be on campus, because a lot of the research opportunities have now shifted so that they're more remote, doing more online work. And a lot of times it's just about getting your foot in the door and making those relationships, because those faculty mentorships and relationships are really what's valuable as well about doing research, is that you get a really great letter of recommendation at the end of the day, whether you pursue fellowships or not. If you're thinking about grad schools, you know, it just gives you that visibility with a faculty member that is bigger than just you being in their classroom, right? So definitely something to think about. Yeah, so when you think about research opportunities here at USC, the important thing to know is that there is no current centralized database at USC for research opportunities. Now, I know we're working on that, right? I think it's a big goal that we want to make sure there is something, especially for transfer students who are just coming in, trying to learn about everything. So it is something that we are talking about. How do we make that a little bit more accessible? But in the meanwhile, I do want to point to you to some links that may be a way for you to get started, right? So the first is just going to check out like all the different kinds of research labs and centers. So there's the link right there, research.usc.edu/centers. And then there is another really cool link called pressroom.usc.edu. This is one that I don't think a lot of students really know a lot about. So this is a link actually that is used mostly by like news outlets. Like if they want to get a quote from somebody who's an expert in the field, they'll go on pressroom.usc.edu, where you can literally type in, let's say, you know, I want to know about homelessness. And so you'll type in the word homelessness and out will pop all of the faculty members at USC who specialize in that field. Now, this is really great because now you get to know, oh, okay, so we have professors here who really are doing this kind of research. It gives you their CV, it gives you a sense of like, you know, their specific interest in the field, and it gives you their email address. So you can actually, you know, email them and say, you know, introduce yourself. And most of these professors are, you know, there's a reason why they're in this field, right? They want to talk to students, they want to support students. So if you can, you know, let them know that, you know, I'm so-and-so, I'm studying this, I'm interested in learning more about opportunities. You know, it does take some work on your end because you will have to do some sleuthing online, but for most of these professors, they have published work. So it does behoove you to do a little digging before you reach out to these professors to say, you know, I read such and such thing that you published, and I'm also really interested in learning about this. If you talk about courses that you're taking or planning to take, that also is going to help with the leverage to say, you know, I am learning about this, and how do I turn this into something that's more in a research capacity, right? So it's about that ask, and by doing so, you know, in a professional way, you can start to get that relationship going. And that, I think, goes back to, I think, the first bullet point, connecting with faculty during office hours. A lot of these faculties also set office hours. You know, you don't have to necessarily be in their class to go to the office hours. You can just, you know, show up if they have availability to have that conversation with them. Every professor is going to be a little bit different, but it does take some of that digging again on your end, right? So let's say you find a professor, they have a lab, and you're like, this is awesome, I want to get involved. What you may or may not know is that there's also funding that is available throughout the year for you to do research. If you are thinking about, like, you know, doing a supervised research over the summer, there are also funding that's dedicated for that as well. So the Provost Undergraduate Research Fellowships, that is one where you can get a stipend for fall or spring. We also have conference travel grants. Obviously, conferences are not happening right now. So, but when they do come back, that is certainly something where you can also get your airfare taken care of. If you can, you know, work on a research where you can present a poster. A lot of times undergraduate students get that opportunity where they can go to a conference, which is also fantastic for networking as well. So yeah, definitely something to think about. And then also school-based funding. If you are part of Dornsife, I encourage you to look into SURF and SURE and SOAR. Those are, again, stipends that you can receive during the summer, so that as long as you prove that you have a research opportunity, the funding is then like available for you. And it also can alleviate some of the stresses, I think, financially, because I think, you know, obviously research takes a lot of work. It's not usually paid. And so I know for many folks, you know, the concern is, well, I also have a job, so how do I balance both, right? So I think having the stipend is a way to kind of help alleviate those stresses. There's also opportunities for you to present your research. So we have the Writers' Conference as well as the Undergraduate Symposium. Both of these are opportunities where you can showcase your work. The Writer Conference is specifically for, I mean, it's in the name, it's for a piece of writing. So it could be in a couple of different categories. It could be analytical, it could be like more research-based, or it could be more on the creative end of things. So you could win a prize in one of the categories, which is really fantastic. This, of course, used to be an in-person event, and we are looking at ways to turn this into a remote opportunity for the spring. And then same goes with the Undergraduate Symposium. This is really open to really any kind of research or creative work. So this is the big event that happens also in the spring around April. All right, moving right along, I kind of talked about, you know, that we support in both university awards as well as nationally competitive fellowships. So first I'll touch on awards, right? When I say university awards, I'm talking about funding that is only for USC students. And this is not funding necessarily for your tuition, but it's like additional funding for, you know, for other opportunities. Well, for the first one, Academic Achievement Award, that is for tuition, but only if you go above 18 units. So if you are, I know for a lot of transfer students, you know, your timing is really tight, right? And so if you wanted to do a major and a minor, or if you wanted to double major in a short time, what we do have is the Academic Achievement Award for folks who are really excelling in their academics. So for a cumulative GPA of 3.75 or above, and they need to take more than 18 units per semester in order to make sure that they meet their on-time graduation, then we can fund up to 3 additional units for you. So the 19th, 20th, and 21st unit, should you opt to take, let's say, an additional course. This is a very, very popular award. So I think that if you are thinking about that, definitely come talk to us. You know, it's something that could be available to you should you want to double major or major and minor, and you have that cumulative of 375. I'm gonna skip the Africa Student Fund because that's a travel related one, not relevant this year, but the other one is Schaefer Fellows in Government Service. So if you are looking for exposure to government work or work in the public service, this is another really popular program that we offer where you can get 10 weeks fully paid internship at the state or local or federal level. So if you're interested in public service, this is certainly one for you to look into. I also want to touch on, the scholar distinctions. So this is, distinctions are recognitions for graduating seniors, for those who have really demonstrated academic excellence in one of 3 different categories. The first is Renaissance Scholar. So if you are, again, double majoring or major and minoring in 2 fields that are very, very different from each other. So for example, you are a biology major with a music minor. Then you would qualify for what's known as the Renaissance Scholar distinction. You know, it is to honor the fact that part of what's great about being here at USC is that you can really explore, you know, different disciplines in this way. And so, that is, again, a really popular one. So if you fall under that category, I encourage you to look into that one. Second one is Discovery. So this is to honor students who've done original research or creative work. So again, if you're really gung-ho about getting involved in research and you do produce, let's say, a senior thesis or a capstone project, certainly that is one that you can do to be recognized for Discovery Scholars. Last is Global. This is for students who have who have gone abroad for up to 10 weeks and have developed a capstone project abroad. We are changing the requirement for this year given COVID. So so we have more updates on the website. I don't want to get into the technicalities of this now, but rest assured accommodations are being considered for this distinction for this year. So for any of these distinctions, you need a 3.5 cumulative GPA. And the distinction is something that goes in your transcript, which is really great. You know, it shows that you've done a really excellent job here at USC. And on top of the distinction, in the spring semester of your senior year, you could also apply for the prize competition, which if you apply for the prize competition in any of these 3 categories, you could potentially earn $10,000 towards graduate school. So huge prize, definitely something that is, again, very popular, and a lot of USC seniors apply for this. So if you are right now in your 3rd year and you're thinking about something like this, certainly keep this on your radar. I know school's tough. I know there's a lot going on, but you know, this is hopefully something that will motivate you to think like, hey, you know, getting that great GPA and doing these things, you know, it could have a nice benefit at the end if you can win a $10,000 prize. So, all right. Very quickly, I want to move into fellowships. I know I see questions popping up, so I want to leave time for those. So now we're going to shift to fellowships. These are funding sources outside of USC. So these are funding sources that are generally from either the federal government or some sort of private foundation. And these fellowships are nationally competitive, meaning that, you know, you have USC students applying for this, but again, like universities all across the country are applying for these fellowships. So it does increase in terms of the competition for these awards. Some of these are even international too. So you're kind of competing on a global level. But what's great about these fellowships is that not only does it earn you really great recognition, it does give you full funding to do research, service. Some of these are more for language acquisition, some are for teaching, and then some of these are for postgraduate opportunities if you're thinking about doing those abroad. So again, it's important to be thinking about the idea like, are any of these fellowships something that I see myself doing down the road? Because you can't, it's not something that you kind of just wake up one day and say, okay, now I'm gonna apply for this, right? Like you really do have to have a lot of planning that goes into it. You have to really look at what are these fellowships looking for, and am I already building up a portfolio that's going to make me competitive for these types of fellowships? So, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a couple slides. We look at fellowships in a couple different ways, but I think one way that's been helpful to think about these is in thematic categories. So what we mean is that, you know, these fellowships, yes, they are all money and they are all kind of getting you to go and do something, right? But what it has you doing, it varies. So you could, again, like, you know, some of these are for a graduate degree. Some of these are more geared towards you being an international ambassador. So something like a Fulbright falls into the idea of international exchange. Some of these are really field-based, like STEM, you know, and for some of these, they are more for your character and leadership versus your academics. So these all are funded for various missions, right? The idea of these fellowships is that if you're a fellow, this foundation or entity is funding you so that you can kind of not only carry out the work that you're interested in, but you're also like a representative for what that foundation is all about. So it is also very, if you think about these fellowships as being very mission driven, you know, and that's a term we like to use, is like, you know, think about your own personal mission. Does that align with the mission of these fellowships, right? So there's some of these are also very values-based on top of it being also skills-based. So just, you know, so as you do a deeper dive into these fellowship opportunities, you'll start to pick that up really quickly. You'll kind of get a sense of like, okay, this is the kind of type of person that they're looking for. So here you see a smattering of the awards that we have. I'm not going to go through all of these, but again, I will highlight Fulbright because we are the top producer of Fulbright 8 years in a row. We're shooting for 9. It is our biggest pool every single year because it has so many opportunities available in over 140 different countries. If you do see yourself going abroad after you graduate from USC and you are interested in either teaching or research, let us know. We are going to have sessions coming up where you can explore this a little bit further. Certainly, we have a lot of students go for that one. But again, a lot of other ones as well. So I encourage you to go onto our website. Everything that you see here is, you know, we definitely put a ton on our website so that you can definitely have all of that resources available. Okay, so some factors to consider when you're applying to fellowships. The first is a campus endorsement or direct apply. So what we mean by this is sometimes fellowships won't allow you to directly apply. So they actually want you to be vetted by your university first. This is important to know because if you need to be endorsed by your university, usually that is an earlier deadline than what the national deadline is for the opportunity, right? So it does, so if you are thinking about an endorsement, know that, you do have to kind of go through an internal vetting process first. And what that usually means is we do the same kind of application as the actual application, but the reason there's endorsements is that there's usually a limited number of spots that a university is allowed to put forth into the national competition. For example, Truman is one example where they're looking for the next generation of public service leaders. We get up to 6 spots a year, and sometimes we get more than that. So we do have to vet that out, and it just helps also the foundation to kind of know that this, you've gotten this endorsement from the university, right? Fulbright is another one where it's like you don't have to be endorsed, but having that endorsement and going through our committees really gives you a leg up in the process. And then there are other ones where, again, it's not that one way is better than the other. Some fellowships are like, we don't really want to hear from the university. We want to hear from you directly. Like, we don't want that sort of vetting process. So again, but again, depending on how you feel, you may want to go through endorsement process, you may not, something to think about. And also our advisement load is really more catered towards ones that require endorsement because obviously that requires more of our time, right? So the direct applies are ones that we know about, but we may not necessarily give you the structural support as much as we would for like one that would require campus endorsement. Second one to think about is undergraduate versus post undergraduate. These fellowships all have different timings when it comes to eligibility. Some of these require you to still be an undergrad if you wanted to do it. Some of these require you to have a bachelor's degree, at least, if you want to do it. So, as you're looking through these, you also want to think about timeline, right? Obviously, prioritizing the ones that if you really want to do it, that requires me to still be an undergrad, do those now. And for the ones that you need to have a bachelor's degree for, you can wait or do it your senior year. What we also like to tell students is, we work with alumni up to usually 3 years after their bachelor's degree. So I think there is also this sense of urgency, I think especially for seniors that like, oh my God, if I don't apply for a fellowship or, my senior year, then like I run out of opportunities to do so. Not necessarily true. Again, something like a Fulbright, they don't have an age cap. They don't have a time cap. Like as long as you have a bachelor's degree, I'm working with alumni now that are like 5 years out. They were applying this year. So if you feel like I don't want to jump into a fellowship right away, I want to get some work experience first and then come back and do it, totally fine. As long as you're a USC alumni, we are happy to have you for some of these processes. Third thing to think about is citizenship. Again, because of the fellowship funding source, some of these require US citizenship versus some of these other privately funded ones have more flexibility with citizenship requirements. So again, this is something that we do note on every single fellowship under the eligibility. They will be very explicit about this. And even within the citizenship, some of them are okay, depending if you're permanent residence versus, citizenship, but like, again, this is very specific to every single fellowship. If you have questions about this, let me know. I'm happy to talk more about that. Okay, and then we have a lot of online resources too, for you to kind of see, if any of these fellowships are something that would be of interest to you. We do have a guide that we like to use, as well as like one-on-one advising sessions for certain fellowships. We have archives as well for some of our more popular ones, so that you can kind of see what past winners' essays look like. That actually has been really, really helpful. We also have writing workshops with writing program faculty, again, such as Dr. Tamara Black, and a lot of writing faculty who run workshops for us, which has been super, super helpful, especially when it comes to thinking about your personal statements and looking at like, what is a grant proposal, like what makes a successful essay. The writing program faculty are so crucial to helping us in this process. And that falls into, the next bullet points of, narrative and like application statement reviews. We do all of that, as well as like committee interviews for certain fellowships that require endorsement. And then we also have our annual Research and Fellowships Week. This is our huge info session that happens in the 1st of November. I have it in the next couple slides. I will talk about that. But before I talk about that, Our next upcoming event that you should mark on your calendar is for our October 23rd. This is our Fellowship Fridays series. This is more of an open advising session that happens once a month on a Friday, where we kind of just go more of a deep dive into a particular topic. So for the next one in October 23rd, we are talking about the scholarship distinctions. So from 1 to 2, it's just going to be open. We're going to give a brief rundown, but not too much. We want this really to be a space where like basically for more Q&As essentially. So we used to do this in the office where people would just come in, their snacks, but now it's just a Zoom room. But you know what, we're rolling with it. And then the next upcoming event also to mark on your calendar is for November 2nd through 6th. Research and Fellowships Week. Again, this is one of our flagship signature events that happens. It's a week long of events that are happening where it dives into different aspects of fellowships. Some events to highlight are, we do have a virtual faculty, spelled faculty, T-E-A, because this used to be like a actual tea event, but anyway. And so this is like more of a networking event where we have faculty from a variety of different fields that are making themselves available. So they're going to be in breakout rooms where they're going to talk about their own research, what research looks like in their field. So if you're like, how do I get started with talking to a faculty member? You know, I'm kind of scared of just reaching out via email. You may want to just like be part of this event, because then you can like really do some online networking with faculty members, and they can just like talk to you a little bit about what they do, right? So you can kind of see if it's something of interest to you. Other events, we will have a full-on Fulbright 101 session. So don't you worry if you're interested in Fulbright. We actually have past panelists who are coming back who have gone on Fulbrights. We can talk more about that. We also have another session that we're putting together on PhDs. So like we have students, current PhD students, talking about their experiences. So if you are thinking about doing a PhD, maybe that's something you're interested in down the line, something to think about that too. The full schedule is actually now available on our website, ahf.usc.edu/RFW. An email blast is going to go out next week, and I can send you all a specific email about that where you can actually do the RSVP at that point. So yeah. Next steps, attend our events. Get to know our resources online. Again, we just have so much information on our website. We also do one-on-one advisements, but you'll notice on our website that we do advisements for certain fellowships at certain times, just because of the cyclical nature of things, right? We also don't necessarily want to have a one-on-one session with you until you've like done that research online first, right? So it's not necessarily that I'm having a one-on-one to you explaining what the fellowship is. You know, I would much rather have you go do that research on your own first, and then come back with very specific questions as it pertains to you. Because what I will ask you is for a resume, for kind of a sense of like, why do you think this fellowship is fit? And we can kind of talk that out, right? And I think in that conversation, you know, that fit conversation takes up the most time to kind of decipher like, you know, is this the right fit? You know, do I think this is the right fit? You know, so it is definitely an exploratory conversation, but that can only happen after you've done that initial research. So follow us on USC at USC AHF. We're super active, especially on Instagram. We do a lot of highlights from our past scholars. It's a really good way to just get plugged into our resources, our events. We also have features, a lot from our past fellowship recipients, and a lot of them are super open and welcome to connecting with our students as well. So they're also serving as really great resources on our social media. This is us. We're, as you can see, we are a lean staff with just 3 of us, and Katie, our manager, is actually out right now on maternity leave. So right now it's just the 2 of us, me and Willa. So, but if you have any questions, please contact us, ahfstaff@usc.edu. Yeah, so I wanted to get all of this done under 30 minutes, but I guess it is now 5 o'clock. So yeah, I'm happy to stay on. I mean, I know I want to be respectful of time, but is there anyone after me, or
No one is after me. Questions were coming up and I was kind of fielding them. So I don't think, folks, you can unmute yourselves if we missed any of your questions, but I think I got a lot of them in the chat as they were coming in.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Hi, thank you so much, Andy, for joining us. I do have a quick question. So when can we apply if we're not an honor student, but we are eligible? When can we apply to be an honor student? Because I know many students that want to apply for any fellowships have to be honor students. It doesn't.
No, you don't have to be an honor student at all
Was it for the
to apply
scholarship
for
then?
fellowships.
Was it for the scholarship, or I don't know for what it was? Maybe the global one?
The scholar distinctions?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so for the scholar distinctions, no, you don't have to be a scholarship student or anything like that. All you need is whatever, for each of these, it's a minimum of 3.5 cumulative GPA. And, for Renaissance, Global, and Discovery, all of them have slightly different criteria. It's more about the kind of academic work that you're doing. Okay. It's not so much about what you're coming in with.
So we don't actually have to be an honor student in USC. We just have to have a 3.5 cumulative GPA and we're considered like honors.
Yeah. You earn this is like a commencement honor. So like you can earn, like, I don't know if you heard of the summa cum laude, the cum laudes, that's kind of what this honors is. This kind of falls under that same category of like, on graduation, they have like the nice sashes with little cords. And I forgot to mention, if you get a scholar distinction, you also get a really nice medallion. People really love that. Like people want those medallions, man, for those photos. Like they love it. So it's an honor that you can get as long as you meet the requirements. I will say though, for transfer students, this is key. When you are thinking about these commencement honors, I believe that they also do take in the GPAs that are transferred into consideration for that calculation. So just keep that in mind and talk about that with your advisors, because academic advisors, because they will help you like project those calculations, because it is taking into consideration like your cumulative GPA.
Yeah, got it. But by any chance, so I got that out of the way, but do you know when we could apply to become like honors for commencement in USC?
Oh, just not the scholar distinctions, just like any kind of honor,
like honors, yeah.
Commencement honors. That is done by school. So that is something that they will do spring semester of your last year. And every school does it differently. Some schools are just like, if you have it, then like, you don't need to do anything for it. Like if you have the GPA, great. Some of the schools have more specific like requirements. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much.
Great.
Just to kind of piggyback on what she just said, so we could apply for the scholars like even, in our sophomore, junior year, or should we wait until we're at a senior standing to apply for like the Renaissance Scholar or?
Yeah, so for the scholar distinctions, for Renaissance specifically, you can get certified as early as you want. Being certified just means that we have to take a look to see if your field of study could be considered as like separate enough. Because remember, Renaissance is the one where we honor you for having very different major minors. But I think sometimes that's a kind of a gray area of like what is different. Like for something like if I'm science and art, that's pretty clear cut. But there are other ones that are like we have to kind of dive in and look a little bit deeper into your coursework to see if it is actually disparate enough, right? So I'll give you an example. Like if you were a business major, right, and you're doing also like something in like health, I want to say like health policy or something like that. So business, you can kind of consider that more of like, if you did more management courses, like it's more social sciences, or if you did something that's more finance heavy, then that would be very different, right? So like we have to kind of see like, because if you did more social sciences and then your other major is also very social science heavy, that wouldn't necessarily qualify. So some of these majors are conditional, meaning that like if you want to apply for certification, we basically verify that your studies are disparate enough. And then once you get that, then you can apply for the prize competition. For all three of these prize competitions, Renaissance, Discovery, and Global, you have to apply senior year. You can't apply earlier than that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if there's no more questions, I believe we can still email them to you, Andy. I think we have the email in the chat, do we? Okay, yeah.
Yes, I believe it's in the chat. Oops, sorry. I just tried messaging it, but I went to Dr. Black privately. But
Okay, I'll send it out to the transfer community. We'll do a blast email with your info. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining. It was such a resourceful, informative webinar. And thank you, Tamara and Amanda as well for coming and joining us here today. So I think that is it.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Fight on, everybody.
bye.
Bye.